Fantasy football. Who doesn't love fantasy football?
Well, a lot of people. A good amount of people, actually. Anyone who knows me knows that I get way into fantasy football around football season. I create my own rankings, my own draft strategies, and this is all made months in advance before my leagues even start. I do this because you simply can't just beat your friends in fantasy football off of luck alone. You need to accumulate stats from previous seasons, keep track of free agency, keep track of injuries, coaches, schedules, and a whole lot more research than it should need. Again, this is if you want to beat your friends like I do. But speaking of research, let's talk about fantasy football Instagram
These are
accounts.
where I get all my fantasy football stats, advice, etc. And generally speaking, I get really good advice about where to draft certain players, sleepers to target in later rounds, etc.
Now, most of the stuff you find on Instagram is helpful if you're just starting out in fantasy football. And year by year, as I get better with fantasy football, the more I realize that some of the content that is posted on these channels starts to get questionable.
Like, I'm not trying to make fun of a majority of them because, like, they got the aesthetics down, they look nice, they look professional. It's just when I see certain rankings or seeing certain sleeper picks where I start to have disagreements with these guys. I saw this one post saying Kadarius Toney and Wandale Robinson are going to be the next Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
I kid you not, I fell out of my chair laughing. But really, their personal rankings of players can be an issue because everyone's rankings has got to be different from the others just to give themselves some attention. So, for the most part, their placings of players are off in each rankings, at least in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, being good at fantasy football just means picking and starting players that you believe are going to do well, and that's really all you need. Plus some luck. Luck helps. But what's shocking to me is that there are people out there who actually pay for fantasy football advice. Like like they pay their real hard-earned money to pay some 30-year-old schmuck to give them fantasy football advice on who to draft and who to start and sit. That's wild. Anyone watching this who doesn't play fantasy football, know this. Never pay someone else for fantasy football advice. It's a waste of money, and you can find other and better advice for free on the internet. But who is paying for that? Like, unless you're a little kid or someone just completely out of touch with humanity who has no idea that you can find advice, stats, whatever, for free very easily.
Again, I get all my stuff from Instagram. I've never thought once about paying for any of this information, especially stuff like previous season stats of players. That is the most useful information when studying fantasy football, and that's all free to find.
So now that I've completely derailed these Instagram accounts, I will now pretend to be just like them and tell you my fantasy football sleepers no one is talking about. And when I say no one, I mean literally no one else has talked about these players. I looked it up and made sure no one made like an extensive post or video on these players and their value. So that way I get all the attention when these players blow up. And I love attention. Anyways,
Ooh, yeah! All right, for my first sleeper up, we have Matt Breida. According to the depth chart on ESPN, he's listed as the number two running back on the New York Giants. And I'm simply saying Breida is the sleeper simply because I don't trust Saquon to be healthy for most of the season, to be honest with you. Plus, Matt Breida, he did have a couple good games with the Bills last year. Seeing he got a few touchdowns. This was probably before Singletary came back in. So I think once Saquon eventually goes down, Matt Breida is going to be super valuable to have on your lineups, and we're going to be seeing him on starting lineups much sooner than what people think. For my second sleeper up, I have Alec Pierce. I'm kind of shocked no one is giving Pierce the value he deserves. I mean, even comparing him to just other rookie wide receivers alone, he does not get any spotlight in the fantasy community. Like, how is Wandale Robinson, with four guys ahead of him in the depth chart, with Daniel Jones as his QB, getting more traction than Alec Pierce, who is about wide receiver two on his team's depth chart, and that's with Matt Ryan as his QB.
like if something happens to Pittman, Pierce's production is gonna skyrocket. So I don't want to end the video on just giving you two sleepers. So I'm gonna give you one more. And keep in mind, don't take it too seriously, because even I Kind of do believe it, but kind of don't. But Marcus Mariota. I don't click on the video just yet. Like, look, he's a mobile QB. He's been injury prone. That doesn't help the case. A couple months ago, I saw him at the golf course at this internship I worked at, and I didn't get to talk to him much, but he was in good shape. He said he really loves being in Atlanta. I mean, I don't know. I think there's still some more left in the tank. I think it's very possible. So anyways, that's going to conclude this fantasy football video. I really need to start thinking of videos that are shorter than this. This is taking up a lot of time to film. And I mean, I don't know how many people are going to watch this video. I don't know how this video is going to turn out after I edit it. But if you haven't made it this far at the end of the video, thank you for watching. I do plan on making more sports related content. Again, YouTube, Brad Lasky. I'll probably leave my socials at link in the description or else somewhere on the channel. But yeah, if you like the video, like it. If you want to comment anything. I don't know how to do outros yet, but again, thank you if you're watching this, and see you later.